Needs More Drums here, back in episode 2 of our new series in the region of Rusinskiy for a second episode where we are so close to hitting that next milestone. So let's just go ahead, jump right into it, and press play and see what happens. All right, so as you can see, our population is increasing pretty well. We're getting close to that next milestone, and that's going to be a big one for us because it's going to unlock some things not only for the city but for the region that we're going to need going forward. So let's just go ahead and hit that real quick. And while we're waiting for this to happen, this is your friendly reminder to subscribe to the channel if you have not already and want to follow along with the series. Also, please give this video a like if you can. I would greatly appreciate it. And as always, leave a comment if you have any questions, ideas, future thoughts for the series, anything like that. I'm always happy to hear it. So thanks a lot for your support. And yeah, I'm really excited to keep this going. But looks like we're having a little bit of a power issue here. I wonder if our power, yep, we're going to need to boost the electricity a little bit, put some more money in the budget. And we actually do have the money to spare. We're making quite a good sum of cash right now. And pretty soon, you know, I want to, upon this next milestone, I do want to invest in a power plant, potentially, so that we can get our second city going, which in this episode, that is going to be the goal, is to get that second city in shape. And it does look like we do need a little bit more zoning to make this happen. And actually, you know what? I'm actually going to unzone this before these people move in because I wanted to save this area for something a little bit different. You know, maybe like a school or something, which we actually do need. So while we're waiting for this to grow a little bit, I'm actually gonna do that now. Let's go ahead and put down an elementary school, since that is something that we're gonna need anyway. And I think for now I'm just gonna use this vanilla one, this European style one. You know, we have the American, the European style. I like to use a little bit of both because I think they look cool in their own way. Let's just go ahead and put this down right here. I know that cost us a pretty penny, but we're gonna be it's always good to get our Sims at least somewhat educated early on. You know, we don't want to overdo it with the education, but I think it'll pay off in the future. And we're gonna leave this kind of blank for now. I'm gonna decorate this up a little bit once we unlock some parks and things, which we're not quite there yet, but we're getting there. I guess we need to pass a few more laws first and get the city a little more established, pass some more ordinances. But for now, let's just keep zoning. I think I'm gonna expand. Oh, there we go. We have done it. We're the village, and this is a great milestone for us because now the city, and actually the region of Rusinskiy, has gained independence from Poland. It is no longer a colony. We have enough of a settlement to where we can have free reign to name the city and actually start to enact some policies. So with that being said, this is, you know, now going to be its own entity, its own country. And of course, we're not going to forget our influence and our cultural heritage, but it is very important to have some autonomy. So with that being said, let's go ahead and create our first district, which is pretty much going to be, for now, I want this whole area here, just so we can find ourselves to kind of one spot. You know, and of course we'll probably break this up a little bit later once we want to get into a little bit more detail. So I do want to include this area here as well. So this is going to be our first kind of boundaries of the city. And for this city, I want to name it something kind of, you know, relevant to what we're doing. So I actually looked up, and I'm sorry, I'm going to totally butcher all of these pronunciations, but this city is going to be named Nadjeja, something like that. Anyway, Nadjeja, yeah, sure. But nonetheless, this is the Polish word for hope, which is something that people will hopefully be able to find in this city. Very excited to get this started. And I think what we're going to do here in this part, I want to have the European suburbia style, at least for this, you know, little suburban part of the city. This part, I'm actually going to probably make a new district and actually end up zoning some higher density once we get that available, which as of right now we do not. We got to wait for quite a few more milestones until we get there. Don't know where these... Oh, these people are... Now all these people are going to leave because we're going to have some new buildings popping up in their place. Yeah, I know. That's not ideal, but you know what? They'll come back. It's okay. We'll just let that play out and pretend to, you know, didn't happen. But anyway, well, those are regrowing. Let's think about what we want to do next. So we have some access to some more city services. We have some access to some more investment. But I kind of want, before we get to our second city, I kind of want to fill this one out just a little bit more. So I'm actually going to go ahead and zone out this area here, bring us kind of to the coast, and then we can really start thinking about what we want to do moving forward in terms of our second settlement in the new country of Rusinskiy. All right, and while the people are kind of re-establishing their homes over here, we can actually, I want to turn my attention to the industry because we could do a couple of things. And so this is all one district, and you know, like I said, I'm not going to keep it this way. This is just kind of to outline the borders of the city. So now it's time to kind of go in here and let's kind of, you know, start to set this up a little bit in the way that I want. So I do want to keep this little industrial park right here. I think this is going to be important to have to have something like this that's a little bit more dense. So I'm going to go ahead and actually create a little bit of a zone here and change this district policy to be the industrial evolution pack. I think this is, you know, always something. This is a cool looking newer content creator pack, and it has some great looking buildings, especially the level 1s are nice and old. These old brick buildings, kind of perfect for what we're going for here. And in this area, I want this to be a little bit more of a, obviously this is going to be the farmland. So I want to go ahead and make that transition now, and we can actually start the industry specialization with our farm specialization. So I'm going to go ahead and make this district. This is going to be all farmland. So now hopefully some of these buildings will pop up and change into some farm buildings. And we'll actually, once these kind of get developed, I do want to spend some time and actually kind of, you know, create some fields and, you know, kind of custom looking farm assets here. And there's actually I have a couple mods that will allow me to do that I'm really excited to use and you know, try those out. So let's just kind of see what happens here, and we'll wait for these to kind of develop and then go from there. All right, and so since the city is growing, it does look like we're starting to have some, you know, some demand for some more city services. So crime and you know, it's starting to pop up a little bit. So I guess we'll go ahead and give us a little police station. And I know these, you know, kind of expensive, but it is what it is, and we're just gonna have to kind of roll with it. So I think I do kind of want to, you know, like I said, I want to make this sort of a main road at some point. So maybe kind of having a police station down here will kind of give this the illusion, not the illusion, but, you know, we'll kind of plan for this to be sort of a downtown city center. So I'll keep this here, and I do have some more European style police cars this time that I want to use. So I'm going to kind of, I chose those. I have these BMW ones. You know, I know they're not very Eastern European, but European nonetheless. Not American is just, you know, the vibe that I'm going for here. So something a little bit different, but no worries. And then I also think this would be a good opportunity to put down a fire station. And it's hard, like at this stage in the city, to make any significant investments because, you know, we have to establish some of these basic city services. So, I mean, it just is what it is. And we're gonna have to, you know, kind of just plan to spend some serious cash putting down some of these essential services before we can actually expand any more of the boundaries. But I also kind of want to save this as a main road as well, as a spot for a main road. So I'm gonna hold off on putting anything directly on this road. But what I think I might do is actually put it just off of the main road. And I know they're a bit, you know, they can be a bit noisy, but I don't think that's really an issue. I think that, you know, having them not on the main road is a little bit better as well, because then they don't have to pull out directly into heavy traffic. So that should be a good starting point for now for this fire station and police station. So I want to aim to keep my commercial zone demand at about 50%. Otherwise, we're going to have some issues with not being able to sell some goods, or not being able to produce enough goods to sell. So I think I just kind of want to let this play out a little bit, and I don't really know why some of my industrial zone is not quite getting developed, but I guess there's really not a lot of demand for industry, and this industrial part kind of took up a lot of it. So just gonna let this play out for now, kind of let the city grow, and I'll chat with you guys in a little bit once we get a little bit more progress made here. All right, so once again, it does look like we're having a little bit of a power issue, and actually it's a water issue too. Am I just not? Oh, it does look like we gotta bump up the budget for that a little bit. No worries though, we do have the money to spend, so I'm not super worried about that. And I know it could just boost the budget. I'm actually gonna do this and kind of allocate some more funding to this. I believe that it will pay off rather than actually having to invest in an entirely new power plant. Just boosting the current infrastructure that we have might be a little bit of a better option until we absolutely need that investment. So I'm going to go ahead and just set this to max 150% funding, give them a little boost, and we'll see if that alleviates our issues, which it looks like it is. So that is very promising, and I'm very happy with that. Now our residential zone is pretty much all zoned out here, so I'm going to add a little bit more zoning, and we'll bring this kind of down to the coast, I think, for now. And I'm thinking about having this all residential zone here, kind of just along the water, rather than having just like a commercial shopping district. We could save that for this spot here. But yeah, I think this will be pretty good for now. Make sure we got our water, which we do. And yeah, just pushing forward, a little bit more development. And once we hit our next milestone, I believe that'll come with, let's actually see what's the next one here. What do we get? So this is where we have some more policies. Parks, that is good. Industry areas, those will be nice. I don't think we have the money to invest in any industry areas right now, so I'm actually gonna kind of hold off on that. Once we get this next milestone, I don't think we're gonna go straight into industrial areas just yet, because that is a pretty hefty investment. What I do want to focus on is actually getting a power plant established, and we don't have any healthcare either. So I'm actually going to go ahead and place down a clinic before we move forward here. And I want to put the clinic probably, by our main area here. So I think I might actually start thinking about making some development along this other road here for now. This will be eventually some kind of avenue, and so I want to keep this as sort of like a cool little centerpiece here for the city. And I think a little bit of a custom avenue never hurts. All right, so that'll be perfect for now. Get our healthcare a little bit better, and we actually do have our first little farm zone popping up here, so that's a good sign. And it looks like we need some more commercial as well, since, like I said, I'd like to keep it at 50%. It looks like we're just about there, so I'm going to go ahead and zone just a little bit more right here in this area. And then I think now that we've done this, I can actually start expanding out over to this side, where I'm going to have my more European style buildings. And it looks like we've reached our next milestone, which is very, very exciting. So yeah, like I said, nothing really in there that I want to deal with just yet, because we just don't have the money for that type of significant investment. I'm gonna have to take out a loan probably to get the power plant built anyway. So I'm not too worried about that just yet. And so now what we could do is edit this district, get rid of this spot here, and then I'm actually gonna remake this to the this will be the historic district, Old Nadezhda. And so I think that'll be a cool. This will be something nice to build. I always like to build these. I've never really built like a old kind of historical town like this, you know, especially not a European one. So once we zone this out, we'll actually have some European buildings, and it'll kind of be a little bit nice contrast compared to what we have in the rest of the city. And yes, once again, I know it appears that our power is an issue, so I think we're going to go ahead and actually make that investment in a power plant. Why don't we just do that now, since, you know, we're kind of in that type of spot. I actually wanted to do it in the last episode, but I didn't really have a good place to put it. So we're going to go ahead and find a spot now that I think will be a little bit suitable for the region. All right, so looking at the map, I kind of wanted the power plant to be in a place that would be, you know, near some good highway access, and also something that could provide power to the region and not just, you know, our one city over here. So something that maybe, you know, looking into the future, we're going to have this city here and here. I was thinking about something maybe over here might be not a bad place for a power plant, especially since we're going to connect these roads up pretty soon. So I think for now, that's what I'm going to do. I know it's quite far from the city right now, and, you know, people will have to work there. But once we kind of build some of this infrastructure up, I think it's going to be a pretty good place to actually put a power plant down, and it'll kind of sit in between some of the cities. And so I am actually going to go ahead and take out a loan. Probably just this $20,000 one should be fine. I don't think it's going to cost us like 10,000 bucks to, you know, put the power lines down. But you never know, I guess. But yeah, so we're just gonna make a little area here for the power plant. I always like to do that. And then we're gonna need to run our power lines. I'm thinking about just kind of running them pretty straight through some of these areas. I don't really see a reason not to do that. Let's go ahead and just kind of run some of these parallel to these main roads here. And actually, I was wrong. It looks like we actually are going to need a little bit more cash to be able to make this happen. So I guess we're going to have to go ahead and take out this $60,000 loan. And shouldn't be a problem. We're making quite a bit of cash, so we should be able to pay these off with little to no issues at all. All right, so there's our first pretty big power line going through here. I'm actually going to go ahead and bring this just over to our terminal. And this should give us plenty of power for the city. And I'm actually going to draw back our budget now that we have so much power available to us. Probably bring it down below 100%. Way less than we've had it before. So let's go ahead, see if this is enough. I think it should be plenty. Yes, that should be perfect for now. So now we can actually resume what we were doing, which was starting to zone out some of this old European town. I'm excited to, you know, start doing this and kind of seeing what comes of it. And you know what, actually for this area, I don't want to follow a true grid system. I know I kind of, you know, I'm going to follow for some of it a pretty good grid, but for the most part, I kind of want to do something a little bit more random, since a lot of these older parts, you know, these original areas of these European cities were often very, very not symmetrical, and, you know, were pretty random and didn't really have a ton of grid layouts. so far I'm liking kind of the randomness that is going to be created here. And so I think I feel like the European buildings are maybe going to have to wait until we get into high density perhaps, because I'm not sure why they're not being zoned at the moment in the low density. But nonetheless, we'll get there eventually, so I'm not super worried. And if not, then I guess it is what it is. We'll just have to, you know, move on and figure out another way to make this look the way I want. But no big deal. Let's just let's keep zoning out. Actually, I might save the high density for later and actually focus on something different for now, since we are zoned out pretty much all the way. Except I will go ahead and make these waterfront districts. I'll zone those out real quick. All right, so now that we've kind of reached a good point in this first little city here, I actually want to go ahead and move over to the second one and start laying some of the groundwork for this. We have our loan. We have a nice sum of money to work with for right now. And so this city, I actually want to, let's first establish some of the boundaries here. And now, similar to what we were going for before, you know, with some optimistic types of, you know, a place you'd want to go is like a new settlement. This city I want to name Procvetanie, which translates to prosperity in Russian. I'm sorry if I butchered the pronunciation of that as well, but yeah, this one we're also going to stick with the European and European suburban themes. And let's go ahead and kind of zone some of this out. You know, I think this one is going to have a little bit more suburbs kind of out this way and stuff. So we'll start with zoning out some of these areas here, kind of on this side of the highway, and then we'll transition into this once we get a little bit more population density. And again, you know, I do like having these power transformers kind of in some of the different areas, which, you know, is something that is a little bit more realistic. Obviously, that have something like that, you know, in each city, and especially in some different areas of the city. So something that I like to keep, you know, pretty consistent with my builds. And another thing too that I've done is actually created one water network. So I know it costs a lot of money to run these pipes kind of around here, but you know what? It just is so much easier in this game to manage one connected network rather than actually having to manage separate networks amongst different cities. So this city should be kicking off. I know we're kind of running out of cash to make any more significant investments, so I'm just kind of going to let this all develop for now. And then going back over here, we do have, I know our demand for commercials, you know, pretty decent. So I think I'll zone out just a little bit more over here to keep this city kind of expanding ever so slightly. But other than that, I do want to spend some time and kind of let this city develop. So I'm going to go ahead, let this develop a little bit, and then check in with you guys in a minute. All right, we just hit our next milestone of Boomtown, which means we unlocked quite a few more things here, and we actually got our next industry specialization and some more policies that we can use, and even I think we got some highways available to us now, so that's exciting. But most importantly, this came with a nice cash bonus of 51, well, not 51, but I think it was like another $25,000 or something, or 20,000 or whatever. But nonetheless, we now have over 50 grand at our disposal. So I think what I want to do is spend some of this money. We don't really need to make any huge significant investments at the moment, but since we do have our parks unlocked, I want to go through and go back to our first city over here and start to, you know, build a little park right here. Let's just actually do that now while we got it on my mind. And so typically what I like to do with these, around the schools is just to put some kind of, like a basketball court, and then maybe some kind of parking lot as well, since that would be very logical. And then usually just some pathways just to connect everything up. And obviously we'll upgrade those later to be these rows will be upgraded in a little bit. And the next thing that I want to do is go back to our second city over here, getting a little lost, but spend some of this money and build out some infrastructure for the second city, since we're going to need to expand this as well. So for example, I want to put down a clinic and then a fire station and police station as well. And so now that I have that all set up, I want to go ahead and just expand the city out a little bit more, wait for, some of the demand to increase and kind of slowly start building it out. And I actually remembered somebody in the urban planning office had told me that, there's a new way to really make, clean up the look of these neighborhoods. And it's taking advantage of this zoning tool that is actually part of the base game now. And I totally forgot that you don't need a mod to do this anymore. So this whole time I've been using this, I used to rely on this zoning mod, and kind of got bored with trying to mess with that, so I just gave up on using it and didn't want to take the time. But now that we have this handy little tool here, it does the same thing and it's really easy to use. And so I just went back and changed some of the zoning, so you could see, for example, these roads here, the zoning is only on these roads and not these roads going this way. So all the houses face the same direction. And I even went back to our first city here and did the same thing for most of it. I think some of the houses that are already there won't change, but that's fine. I don't really mind having some differences going on there. But yeah, so I'm definitely going to use this as I go forward here. And yeah, for now, before we wrap up the episode, I'm just going to spend a little time, work on this a little bit, expand it out, and then I'll kind of check back in with you guys in a little bit once I build up the population a little bit and grow the city. And just like that, we've hit another milestone. Busy town, 3,200 people, plenty of new roads and things that we've unlocked. A lot of nicer, decorative, bigger roads, 4-lane, 6-lane. So we'll be using some of those pretty soon. And just a look at what I've kind of been up to. Finished zoning out a lot of these residential areas of Prosvetanie, and same with add a little bit of an industrial area here. And I also started to build an industrial area over here because I figured this is going to be a spot. We're really close to this major intersection. We have this other main road coming in here. I feel like this is going to grow to be a pretty industrious area, especially once we get some more, specialized industry and some bigger factories and things. This is going to be a great place to start putting some of those things down. But until then, we still need to make a lot more money, as those specialized industry areas are very, very expensive, and we just don't really have the capital to do that right now. Speaking of which, though, let's go check on our loans and see. I'm going to pay back this first one since, we don't want to take out any more interest on that. And then going back over here, I've expanded out some of the suburbs as well. Added in a cemetery because I realized that we don't have any death care. And then I even, kind of use this open space to create just a nice little park, some little walkways and some trees. And I am using some assets, you know, some custom trees in this save game, which I'm really excited for because I haven't really done that in a while. I've been, you know, sticking to the vanilla trees, and I just forgot how nice there, you know, some of these custom trees are. But yeah, I didn't want to worry about, you know, removing the vanilla trees from the buildings because that would have been just a lot of work and trying to replace those, and kind of defeats the whole purpose of this city, which is still to play the game and, you know, do everything relatively quickly. But nonetheless, we're making good progress. This stage is always a little bit slow since, you know, we're always kind of limited on money. I think before we wrap up today, I do want to put down a high school, and I feel like I'm trying to figure out what to do with this area here because we're getting into the industrial zone, and I obviously don't want to put any more residential over here. So I'm thinking about saving this for like some kind of housing block maybe, and then adding in some commercial here potentially, and then, you know, having the industrial area more over here and kind of blending the commercial and the industrial together, or figuring out something to put here that's kind of a cross between the two. Well, I'll think about that for a minute, but for now, I think I'll go ahead and put a high school. I wanted to almost put it over here in Prosvetanie, but I couldn't really think. I feel like this is kind of too small to have the high school for right now. I'll probably put one there eventually, but I think I'll put one over here in Najieja for now. And I'm thinking about just putting it kind of close to the cemetery over here. I feel like this whole area is still going to be primarily residential, so I don't really feel too bad about putting a high school over this way. Actually, why don't I just, you know, I'll keep a bit of a bigger plot of land kind of set aside for it. I think I'll actually put it, if we do something, we'll bring this road. Yeah, I think I know what I'll do. We'll bring this road like this, get rid of this, and that way we can have a pretty sizable area for the campus. And then we'll still have enough room here for some residential zones, and then probably even some commercial zones right here. And then I'll probably fence this off and make this just a water treatment facility so that it kind of stands on its own. I don't really want to put anything right up, you know, against here in this area. So I think I might just kind of keep this as is. And actually, with that being said, why don't I just go ahead and just make this whole area the water treatment facility rather than trying to mess with, you know, seeing what I can zone here and things. I'll put some commercial buildings here, but behind it, I'm just going to have some trees, and just we'll just leave it at that. You know, there's no use in trying to you know, force some development here when I think it would be nice to have a little natural barrier between this water treatment facility and whatever buildings are over here. So I'm going to let that develop for now. Put down the high school real quick, and I finally get to take advantage of this cool European high school. I never really use this one a lot since it doesn't really blend in with my cities too much. So I'll go ahead and put this right here, and that's looking pretty good. And then, as per usual, I'll go ahead and make a couple of parks around the high school, just because that makes sense. Add in a couple of parking lots. Also going to add in some pathways, as these are, you know, decorative and functional. Really like to use these whenever I can. And I'm trying to sort of imagine where some bigger housing developments are going to go. And this is probably going to be one of those areas right here where we're going to have nice, you know, medium density apartment block development. So that's why I'm setting this infrastructure up with these, you know, pedestrian pathways, give it a little bit more, more planned structure, and, you know, but a little bit better look, you know, more symmetrical look to it. But for now, we'll just use these, the regular homes, and we'll come back later once we have some higher density available, and then we'll rezone this to be a bigger housing development. But for now, this should be perfect. And I'll just go ahead and also zone some residential right here, as this will be kind of a similar thing. I'm thinking of residential development here as well. But for now, this will be perfectly fine to zone some low density there and just build up our population. All right, and with that all done, I think this is a good spot to call it for this episode. We've made a lot of progress, hit the next couple of milestones. Something else is on fire here. I've been having a ton of fires in this city, and I don't know why, but oh well. You know, people will live and learn, I guess. The early settlers are not too keen on their fire prevention skills, I guess. No big deal. But yeah, the city's really starting to take shape, and I kind of like, you know, this opportunity to make some of these more planned out areas in a bit of a, you know, European old kind of USSR style Soviet influence. In this, you know, typically where I'm from, a lot of areas are not as nicely planned out, and it's kind of cool to, you know, do this a little bit. You know, this is a game and get to do whatever you want, and this is really fun. And this city's also coming along pretty well over here. I think in the next episode the goal is going to be to expand and start work on the third city, which we have over here. We have the general layout for it, and this city I'm kind of waiting to start work on this one because I really wanted to wait until we got our high density buildings available so we could start to really focus on those old Soviet style, you know, residential blocks, and just kind of create some bigger blocks of flats and things like that. I think that would look really, really cool, and I'm excited to get started on that. So hopefully this will get started in the next episode, and if not, we'll do it soon. But yeah, in the meantime, city's coming along nicely, and hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Thanks again for tuning in. I hope you're as excited as I am to continue this series, and if you are, please come back for the next episode next week. Hope you guys all have a great rest of your week. I will talk to y'all in the next episode. Peace out, and see you later.